Gentlemen, particularly when you walk in late. Without rain, you're not in your seat ready to go. You're late. So, Chapter 5 test will be on Wednesday. You will get it back on Friday. You will be able to do retakes on the following Monday or Tuesday, although I will not be able to do the Monday after school. Because Monday after school I have department meeting, so I can't do it after school on Monday. But I will be able to do it lunchtime whenever. I'll be able to do it on Tuesday. Tuesday after school is the last time you'll be able to do Chapter 5 retakes. You cannot do a Chapter 5 retake if you are not here to do the test on Wednesday. So definitely plan on being here. And because there is such a short turnaround time, plan on studying and doing really well on this one. Push it a little bit harder than you normally would. Spend the extra time tonight and tomorrow studying for the test. Anything that you don't get while we're going over the practice test, you make sure you know how to do. Okay? I'm just trying to make sure you guys understand. You know, we're down at the wire here. This is it. This is a big one here coming up, and then you got finals next week. It's this, a couple of worksheets for studying for the final, and then your final exams next week. That's your grade. Okay. So, question number 1, circle any of the below that are trinomials. Trinomials, that means it has 3 terms and a degree of 3, which means x cubed is the largest power. Okay, so I can't have anything with a higher power of 4, so, or a higher power than 3, so that one's gone and that one's gone and that one's gone. So that takes me down to 2. Now, on mine, it doesn't show. For some reason, it's got this little box in here, and I'm kind of wondering if this is a mistyped one on your test. I know on yours it doesn't have any power there. So it's entirely possible that that's supposed to not have any power, but it could be that that's supposed to be a squared to combine up like terms. But as it stands now, this one's out because it's got 4 terms, which means that I have this is good here. Now, on your test, it is entirely possible that you could have had that had been a square, which means what do? You combine like terms before you answer the question. If you have some like terms in there, combine up like terms before you answer the question. It doesn't here, it doesn't on your test, but it's entirely possible on the test you guys take, you might have to do that. Okay, questions on this one? Hopefully this is everyone that everybody gets right. Of course, that's, never the case. But it should be going. Okay, number 2, select which of the below. So obviously, this would be a multiple choice answer. I didn't change the wording of the question. I should have changed the wording of the question to hide that this wasn't a multiple choice answer on the real test. This will be multiple choice because otherwise it wouldn't have that first word right there. Okay, but how do you figure out which one is polynomial in standard form? You have to remember. We had that one day in here where we were given 3 parts. There were 3 things involved with the polynomials: the roots, the factors, or the actual polynomial itself. And you were given one of those 3 things and had to find the other 2. This is the one where you're given the zeros, given the roots, and you have to find the polynomial. Well, when you're given the zeros, you have to take the zeros and write them as factors. So if I have a 0 at 2, that means I have a factor of x minus 2. If I have a factor of -4, that means, I'm sorry, a 0 of -4, I have a factor of x plus 4. And if I have a factor of 3, that means I have, or sorry, a 0 of 3, I have a factor of x minus 3. Zeros and factors, opposite signs. But it doesn't ask, these are factors, I want the polynomial. So what do I have to do? I have to multiply this out. Okay? So I take the first 2 here, just because the first 2, and I multiply them together. Now you can FOIL it and combine them like terms or whatever, but we did discuss a shortcut in class. Whenever the first terms are x and x, you get x squared. Add the 2. -2 plus 4 gives me 2, so I get plus 2x. Multiply the 2 numbers. -2 times 4 gives me negative 8. That's those two. Still have to multiply it times x minus 3. Okay? So I talked about how to do that. The shortcut doesn't work if I have like a 2x or a 3x, something other than just x plus or minus something. If I have x plus or minus something, I can do the shortcut. If I have like 2x plus 3 and x minus 5, it doesn't work. Then you'd have to FOIL it out. And feel free to just FOIL it out. You don't have to use a shortcut. It's just kind of nice to you start picking up on these things. Okay, feel free. FOIL it out. Whatever you need to do to get the right answer, other than cheat, I'm okay with. Okay. So when I have 3 terms and 2 terms, I'm pretty good at doing this. I might do this one in my head and kind of combine up like terms. I probably wouldn't. I guarantee on the answer key for your test, I didn't do this in my head. I guarantee on the answer key, when I worked it out, I did this. Set up a box. I guarantee it. There's no way when I'm doing up an answer key, I do even simple problems in my head. Even when I was teaching algebra foundations and was just adding up a few numbers, I'd still pull out my calculator to double check myself to make sure I had it correct. And I still make mistakes every once in a while. Not very often. I'm pretty good about it. But every once in a while, I don't do stuff in my head when I'm making up the answer key, which is I wouldn't do stuff in your head if you're taking the test if I'm not doing it on the answer key, because I'm a lot better at it than you are. Okay? Fill in the box just like a multiplication chart. X cubed, 2x squared minus 8x, negative 3x squared minus 6x plus 24. Almost made it negative. Like terms are on your diagonals here. So I get x cubed, negative 3x squared, 2x squared, so I get negative x squared, negative 8, negative 6, negative 14x plus 24. Okay, multiply them all out. Questions on that? This will be posted later as a video and as an answer key as a PDF as well. I'll have both up before the end of the day. Okay, find the zeros of this. So once again, I talked about we have 3 things: zeros, roots, and polynomial. First one, you're given the zeros, have to find the polynomial. You've got to do the roots in the middle. Same thing going the other way. If I'm given the polynomial, I need to find the roots, the factors in order to get the zeros. So I have to factor it out. First thing I do is, I have something I can pull out of every term. I have a common factor. What can I factor out? 3x. I can pull out a 3x. So I have 3x times x squared plus 2x minus 8. 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 I can kind of cheat, can I? And it's not cheating if it's mathematics and you're using a previous problem, using a previous solution to do my short work. Do you guys see what I'm talking about? This right here, is that right there? What did I multiply to get this? I multiplied x minus 2x plus 4. So what do I multiply to get this? X minus 2x plus 4. Because they're the same thing. However, please feel free. Set it up. Do the X box. Feel free. Do what you need to do to factor it out. 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 8, add to give me positive 2. 4 and negative 2. So that means I have 3x, x plus 4, x minus 2 are my factors, but it doesn't ask for factors, it asks for zeros. So I set each factor equal to 0. And then solve. 3x equals 0, x equals 0. Right? Because what times 3 gives me 0? 0. X plus 4 is equal to 0. X equals negative 4. X minus 2 equals 0. X equals Positive 2. Okay. I have a third power polynomial. I should have 3 answers. Okay. Questions on that one? Okay. Completely factor. Now, there's a little, make sure there's, there's a difference between those two problems there. And on yours, you have it. Mine, I cut and paste to put this together. Completely factor 4x cubed minus 12x minus 16. Do not solve. Read the instructions carefully. This was a problem on your last test. There were questions you had to factor and didn't solve. There were other questions you had to solve. And even on the retakes, people got it screwed up. Same thing on the practice test, the same thing on there. Pay attention to the directions. This one says don't solve, just factor, so just factor. Tends to be a problem more when it says factor and solve. You need to give me the solutions as well. So completely factor. First thing I do is I have a common factor, 4x. Pull a 4x out of everything, and I'm given x squared minus 3x minus 4. Two factors, multiply to give me negative 4, or yeah, multiply to give me negative 4 and add to give me negative 3. When there's only one number in between them, it's 1 and the number above. And you just have to decide which one's negative, which one's positive. Okay. So I get 4x, x minus 4, x plus 1. And that's your answer. Do not forget the 4x that you pulled out earlier. Tends to happen considerably. Be careful with that. It's one of those things that tend to disappear. They disappeared on the skills test I gave you, where it was just like this, where you factored it out. And a lot of people forgot that factor you pulled out earlier. Okay. Completely factor x cubed plus 64. Two terms, and one of them is definitely a cube. X cubed is a perfect cube. Is 64 a perfect cube? Yeah, 4 cubed. X cubed plus 4 cubed. Oh, sum of 2 cubes. X plus 4, x squared, minus 4x plus 16. You have to memorize the formula for sum and difference of cubes. A cubed plus b cubed factors out to a plus b, the two things being cubed, thus the x plus 4. The first item squared minus multiply the two terms plus the last item squared. You cannot guess this one out. I guarantee about a third of the students will have that as, ooh, x plus 4 times, x plus 4 times, x plus 4, which is not what the answer is. Okay, and the second quadratic is unfactorable. Now, you may say, oh, Mr. Orr, but what if it's minus 2 cubes? A cubed minus b cubed is a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. Nearly identical. Same, opposite, always positive. Same sign as this, opposite sign, always positive. Same, opposite, always positive. Okay. And you have to have this memorized. If you don't have this memorized, you're not going to be able to guess it out. You're not going to be able to set up a factor tree or do the Xbox thing. It doesn't work. It's one of those ones you have to memorize. Sorry, got to spend some time memorizing something in math. Just like a vocabulary word for another class. Same thing. Flashcards. That's what I did whenever I had to memorize a formula, flashcards. Whenever I had a vocabulary test in English or in science or whatever, flashcards. That's what worked for me. You've been students for at least This is the minimum your 10th year. Actually, I don't have any freshmen. So this is your 11th year of being a student. Kindergarten, first, second, third, right? At least, if you're in 10th grade, this is your 11th year of being a student. You ought to know by now, after 11 years, what works for you and what doesn't work for you for memorizing things you have to memorize. Okay, factor and solve. Ooh. And solve. Which means I have to get my answers. Two numbers multiply to give me negative 63 that add to give me 2. Nine and negative 7. So x plus 9, x minus 7 are my two factors. So x plus 9 equals 0, x minus 7 equals 0, x equals negative 9, x equals positive 7. The one next to it, a little more difficult, not a lot, but a little more difficult. X to the 4th minus 10x squared plus 9 is equal to 0. Oh, wait a minute. They're not squares. However, the power in the first term is twice what the power in the second term is, and there's nothing in the third term. That factors just like a quadratic. Only instead of x and x, it'll be x squared and x squared. We did this. So I can still set up a Xbox thing with negative 10 and 9, which is negative 9 and negative 1. So that factors into x squared minus 1. X squared minus 9 is equal to 0. When the power of the first term is twice what the power of the second term is, and there's nothing in the third term, it factors like quadratic. And the powers I have for in my first factoring are half of what ones the first term are. So if I had x to the 6 and x cubed, ooh, that'd be cubed and cubed. I can go from there. X squared minus 1, is that factorable? Is 1 a perfect square? 1 is not a perfect square. 1 is a perfect square. 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 is a perfect square. Student always kills me. See 1. No, yes, 1 is a perfect square, a perfect cube, a perfect to the 5th power. 1 is to any power. So square minus a square, x plus 1, x minus 1. Is 9 a perfect square? Yeah, 3 squared. X plus 3, x minus 3. So I can factor out one more time. Yes? The 9 goes on top. I got this factor. Sorry. That's supposed to be the other way. My bad. Still the same guy. It ends up being the same thing, the factor, right? Yeah. So I have how many factors? 4. Ooh, that kind of matches up with my power. Ooh, 4 factors. 4th power, 4 factors. X plus 1 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. So x equals 1, negative 1, 3, and negative 3. 4 factors, 4 answers. 4th power. 4, 4, 4. That should be a hint to part of your performance task. 2nd power, 2 answers. 4th power, 4 answers. Questions so far? Okay. Moving right along. Use synthetic division to evaluate p of negative 1 for p of x. Okay. Synthetic division for evaluation. Still set up my little hook. What goes inside here? Negative 1 because I'm evaluating. If I'm evaluating, it's the same. And then I write down my things and I watch for zeros. I don't have any zeros in here. Thank you. 1, -4, 2, 3, and 10. Bring down the 1. And then I work it the same as I work synthetic division. Same idea. The difference is that instead of having the opposite in the front, if I'm evaluating, I have the same in there. So -1 times 1 is -1. Add, I get -5. Multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. -1 times -5 is 5. Add, I get 7. -1 times 7, -7. Add, I get 4. Multiply, I get -4. Add, I get 6. So P of -1 is 6. If I'm evaluating, they are the same. Yes?
Where's that 4 next to 7?
You're right. So that's plus, so this would be 14, so this would be 14. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. See, one little mistake, you screwed all up, and everybody gets mad at you. Yes?
I just plugged in -1 for each.
Yeah, you can do that, but it says use synthetic division. So if I say use synthetic division and I don't see this, what do you get? 0! Because I specify the method necessary. I specify synthetic division, I better see synthetic division. Okay? If I see something other than synthetic division to do the evaluation, if I specify, you must use that. Now, do I specify how to divide this? No, so I can use either synthetic or long division. Because it's x plus 6. I have a choice. If I have a choice, you bet your hiney I'm using synthetic division. Okay? So x plus 6, that means I have the opposite. When I'm dividing, I put the opposite in there. Okay? 1x cubed, 2x squared, -4x, plus 7. Guys, excuse me. Don't be talking, especially if you're not doing anything except sitting there watching. Okay, bring down the 1. -6 times 1, -6. Add them together, -4. -6 times -4 is positive 24. Add them together, I get 20. -6 times 20, -60. Add, I get -53, right? 120, thank you. I knew I was doing something. It didn't seem right. I worked these out, thank you. That's why I asked. So I get -113. And that's the answer because it says state the remainder is your answer. It doesn't ask for everything. Now, if we did ask for everything, it wouldn't be that hard. I start with x cubed, so my answer is going to begin with x squared. -4x plus 20 with the remainder of -113. But the problem just asks for the remainder. Okay. Okay, divide and state the remainder only as your answer. So I have a choice. I can divide it any way I want, right? No, I have to use long division because it's 2x, not just x. I can't use synthetic division on this one. I have to do long division. So 2x minus 1 into 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 6x plus 3. 2x goes into 2x cubed, x squared times. X squared times 2x minus 1, 2x cubed minus x squared. Subtract -5x squared minus -1x squared. -4x squared. -5 minus -1. Watch this, because this is what, when we're doing this the first time, everybody was messing up on. Be careful with this. Next step. Bring down the next term. Repeat. 2x goes into negative 4x squared, negative 2x times. Negative 2x times 2x, negative 4x squared. Negative 2x times negative 1 is plus 2x. Subtract. Negative 4x squared minus 4x squared gone. 6x minus 2x is 4x. This one's an easy one. Plus 3. Repeat. 2x goes into 4x 2 times. 4x minus 2. Subtract. 4x minus 4x gone. 3 minus negative 2. 3 minus negative 2 is 5. And because it asked for that, that's my answer. If it asked for the whole thing, it would be x squared minus 2x plus 2 with the remainder of 5. Okay? How to use long division because it begins with 2x. I don't specify, but you don't have a choice anyways. Okay? Maybe that's one of the things that you should know which one to use. Expand. X minus 2 to the 4th using Pascal's triangle. You will have Pascal's triangle on the board. In fact, I'll probably just leave this up. I might add another row or two, but this will be available for you for the test. You do not have to have this memorized, but you have to know how to use it. Okay? So I need to do a couple of things. Identify my A. Identify my B. And then I go through and I fill it in. So 4th power, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's also easy to recognize because the first number past the 1, that's my power. 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Put in my A's. Starting with the 4th power, working my way down. X to the 4th, x cubed, x squared, x to the 1st. Put in my B's, working my way up. 0 power, 1st power, negative 2, negative 2 squared, negative 2 cubed, negative 2 to the 4th power. And then simplify. 1x to the 4th, negative 2 times 4 minus 8x cubed. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 6 plus 24x squared. Negative 2 cubed is negative 8. Negative 8 times 4 is negative 32x. And then negative 2 to the 4th is plus 16. So you have 3 parts. You have the coefficient from Pascal's triangle. You have your A term to its appropriate power. You have your B term to its appropriate power. And then simplify each one out. Okay, 13. Find the second term in the expansion, V minus 2W to the 4th. A is V. B is negative 2W. And then I don't have to find the whole thing. I only have to find part of it. Go to 4th term, same row. Okay, 4th power row. Second term begins with a 4. And then my A term, V, first term would be to the 4th power. Second term is going to be to the 3rd power. So V to the 3rd power. And then I have my B term, negative 2W, to what power? 1st power, because powers have to add up to 4, whatever this is. 3rd power, 1st power. Simplify. Let's see, negative 2 to the 1st power is negative 2. Negative 2 times 4, negative 8. v cubed w. Okay. Questions? Almost there. Performance task. Okay. Everything kind of thrown together, stuff we've talked about at one point or another. Use the equation below to answer the following questions. 1. State the maximum number of solutions in this equation will have and explain how you know. How many solutions will it have? 3. The maximum solutions is 3 because the degree is 3. The degree of the polynomial, the highest power, tells me how many answers I have. I have 3 solutions. Real and or imaginary in that combination. Okay? Real and or imaginary, I have 3 solutions. Rewrite this equation by factoring out the greatest common factor. So I take that and I factor out my greatest common factor. What is my common factor I can pull out? 2x. So I go 2x times x squared minus 4x minus 3 equal to 0. That's what that says. That's what you do. Get that out. You're right. Pull out 2, not 4. I don't know why I got 4 stuck in my head. Yeah. Equals 0. So one of my solutions is 0. X equals 0 because I've pulled out a 2x. It's one of my factors, so one of my answers is 0. Okay. Now, so x squared minus 4x minus 6. After factoring out the greatest common factor, which is the remaining trinomial factorable, is this factorable is what that second part is asking. That's first and foremost. So I have x squared minus 4x minus 6, correct? Right? So 2 numbers that multiply to give me -6, add to give me -4. What are my factors of 6? My choices are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Is there any way to combine those to get 4? No, so it's not factorable. If not, leave this answer blank, move to the next one. Use the quadratic formula. Because that's what it says. If it's not factorable, use the quadratic formula to solve. I will put the quadratic formula up on the board. I gave it to you on the last test. I'll give it to you on this test as well. And when you take your final exam, there will be a sheet on the front page that has a bunch of formulas on it. That is one of the formulas on the final exam. Okay. Once again, it'll be just like in the last one. You get a list of the formulas. You don't get a list of what they actually, their names or what you use them for, but the formulas are there, so you have to be able to recognize them. Okay. So quadratic formula. X equals minus b, so minus -4, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -6, all over 2 times a. And then simplify. Plug it in first and then simplify. Okay, -4, so that's 4 plus or minus square root of 16 plus 4 times 6 is 24, all over 2. 4 plus or minus the square root of 40, right? 16 plus 24 is 40, all over 2. Then I know a lot of people, ooh, I can divide everything by 2. Can I divide everything by 2? No, because the 40 is inside the radical. I can simplify the square root of 40, though. 40 is 4 times 10, right? Square root of 40 equals the square root of 4 times the square root of 10, so that's 2 root 10. So this equals 4 plus or minus 2 root 10 over 2. Now I can reduce because everything is divisible by 2 because I pulled the 2 out. 2 plus or minus the square root of 10. Two plus or minus the square root of 10. Okay. Oh, here it is. What is it? I knew there was one more question here. Just try to figure out what I wasn't ignoring it. Part E. How many irrational solutions are there? Are there any irrational solutions? Are there any square roots that are not perfect squares as part of my answer? Square root of 10. Is 10 a perfect square? No, then this is irrational. How many do I have? Plus or minus. 2 plus root 10, 2 minus root 10. 2. I'm going to give you a hint. Irrational answers always come in pairs. Irrational answers always come in pairs. Almost. But pretty much you can count on pairs. So your answer for this is either, how many answers can we have? We can have 3. So either you have no irrationals or you can have 2 of them. If it's factorable, no irrationals. If it's this, you have 2. Okay. Questions? Yes.
So if C would have been factored,
If it would have been factorable, then you wouldn't have any radicals, no irrational numbers. You would have had 0, would have been your answer here.
so would we not have to do D?
No, you don't do D. You do C or do D. You do not do both. Because it's either factorable or it's not factorable. If it's factorable, you do this. If it's not factorable, you do that. Okay? Questions? Awesome sauce. I did skip number 5. That's my bad. What is number 5?
It's complete the factor.
Complete the factors.
X cubed minus 3x squared.
Here, tell you what, let me add an extra blank. Can I borrow something here? So number 5. Completely factor, do not solve. Thank you. So number 5, which I forgot. Yeah, the recording started up again. Is x cubed minus 3x squared minus 28x. And it says completely factor, do not solve. My bad, my bad, my bad. So first thing I do is common factor. Okay. Pull out an x. Leaves me with x squared minus 3x minus 28. Negative 3, negative 28. 2 numbers multiply to give me 28. Then when I subtract them, I get 3. 7 and 4. Which one's negative? 7. So for the quadratic, I have x minus 7, x plus 4. However, do not forget the common factor you pull out ahead of time. Sorry about that. Any questions? Did I skip anything else? Was my bad? Okay.